Hi friends, thank you so much for coming back to my channel for today's tutorial. And I am extra excited today because today marks the first in a series that I want to start on my channel of themed crochet. And I have a bunch of different ideas for this with different aesthetics, different time periods, you name it. So if you're interested in that, stick around. But today's theme is all about stars. I love celestial themed. I love stars. I collect a lot of star and celestial related things, and I will also probably be doing some more celestial themes as well in the future. But we have 6 beginner friendly patterns. You just need to know the basic stitches. You also need to know how to do a magic circle, but I do explain how to do that very nice and slowly for the first tutorial with the fingerless gloves, because with the star you need to know how to make a magic circle. I will also be referencing in this video for 2 other patterns this specific star that I'm making for the front of the fingerless gloves. So you can just go back and re-watch that tutorial for the other 2 patterns. But we're going to make the fingerless gloves, a chunky star sweater that's inspired by the movie Coraline and the sweater that she wears in that movie. It's like chunky and knit with a bunch of stars on it, and I wanted to recreate it in a crochet version, and I think it turned out really, really cute. Also, we're going to make a star blanket. You can make it a baby blanket size, you can make it an adult size, a star garland, star keychains, and then this star granny square pouch. And I found this reference photo on Pinterest, and I knew I had to remake it for this video. But all of the patterns are very beginner friendly and fun to do, and I am so excited for this whole series and this theme, and I hope you guys love the video. But let's go ahead and get started with the first tutorial, which is the fingerless gloves. Now we're going to make the fingerless gloves. This is the easiest fingerless glove pattern you'll ever make. I already made one, but it's super simple, like super easy, very beginner friendly if you want to just make a very simple fingerless glove. This is my first one that I made, very easy, and we're going to sew a star applique on top once we're done, but we're going to make this one, the second one, first. So start off with a slip stitch. I have a 5mm hook and just some Lion brand yarn here, and I'm going to start by chaining 40. 1, 2, 3, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 39, and 40. There's my chain of 40. And this pattern like completely repeats itself like the entire time. So it's very simple. But you start off by 1, 2, 3. In this third stitch here, you are going to make your first stitch, which is a half double crochet. So you're going to insert your hook and make your first half double crochet, and then in the next stitch you're going to make your next half double crochet, your next half double crochet in the next stitch, and in the next, going all the way down the row with just 1 half double crochet in each chain. So I'm just going to go all the way down until I reach my last stitch and put 1 half double crochet in every chain all the way down the row. And there is my last half double crochet. And now I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, And now for the remainder of this pattern, we're going to be working in the back loops only of all of the stitches across the row. In every single row, we're going to be working our next half double crochets in the back loops only to get this nice ribbing pattern. We're going to go in the back loop only, and in the next we're going to go in that back loop only again with our next half double crochet. All the way down the row. With one half double crochet in the back loops only. I have my last 2 stitches here. My last 3 actually, forgot this one. Don't forget that last little one. Chain 2, turn your work. And now we're going to do the exact same thing we did in our previous row. And now we chain 2, always at the end of the row, turn our work, and then repeat the same exact thing with 1 half double crochet in every stitch in the back loops only, all the way till the end. Then you chain 2 and repeat the same thing. It's a very, very, very easy pattern. And I am going to go to 22 rows. And you can go for however much is going to fit you. You might need to do more rows or fewer rows than me, but I'm doing 22. Mine's a little bit big. I wish I had done like maybe 20, but I did 22, so I'm going to have to do 22 for this one too. So I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing that I've been doing, repeating the same process of back loops only in every stitch, and then we will have this nice long piece, and then I'll show you guys how to sew it together, and then I'll show you how to make the stars. Now I'm going to show you how to crochet the star for the top of the gloves. I'm going to start off with another magic circle. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to put 15 double crochets into the circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then I'm going to pull the short end to join the circle together. And then in the top of this chain 3 here, I'm going to slip stitch. We have our little circle, and I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we're now going to start making the points to the star. So now we are going to go into not this first chain here, but the second chain with 1 single crochet, and then in the next we are going to make 1 half double crochet, and in the next 1 double crochet, and then in that last stitch 1 treble crochet. And then we're going to skip 2 stitches in the circle, skip those 2, and slip stitch into that 3rd stitch. And we have our first point to our star. And now we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're not going to go into that first chain, but we're going to go into the second chain with a single crochet, and in the next with a half double crochet, and in the next with a double crochet, and then into the last with a treble crochet. So basically you're starting off with your shortest stitch and going all the way to the tallest stitch, and then you skip 2 stitches and slip stitch into the 3rd, and then you keep on repeating. So we'll do one more point together, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, skip that first chain, go into the second one here with a single crochet, into the next with a half double crochet, into the next with a double crochet, oops, and then into the last with a treble crochet. Skip 2 and slip stitch into the 3rd. So now I'm going to chain 5 again and repeat this process until I have my 2 more points to the star. Now I slip stitched into my final one. Now I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, pull it out, and there I have my star. All done. And now I'm just going to weave in the ends. And there we have the 2 finished stars that I can sew on the top of the gloves. I finished the 22 rows, and now I'm just going to end it with a chain 1, and then I'm going to actually pull out like a lot more yarn so I have enough to sew it together, because it's already attached. So I'm just gonna pull out some yarn from the ball so I have enough to sew. I think that's enough, and then I'm just gonna pull out my hook and tighten it, and now I have enough yarn that I can easily sew the 2 together. So we're going to use our tapestry needle and sew up to a certain point. I sewed up to about here, and then I reattached my yarn to sew it again right here, so I had room for the thumb hole. And I'm going to do that same exact thing with this one. I have both sides lined up and my tapestry needle attached, and now I'm just going to go back and forth sewing the 2 sides together. Just make sure that it's laying nice and flat and even. And I'm just gonna sew all the way up to the point that I sewed on this one, and then I'm going to show you what I do next. But I'm just basically going to go back and forth with these stitches here until I get to this point right here. Okay, so I just sewed up to the point that I did on the last one, and make sure you try it on, make sure it fits you nicely. And now I'm just going back and forth to secure this in place. And then I'll just weave in the tail and cut my yarn, and then we will sew the next part, this top part here. So now I'm going to use this tail here that we started off with, just to sew about an inch here, just to finish off the other half of the thumb hole. So I'm going to attach my tapestry needle. And just sew about an inch at the top. And then just like the last one, I'm going to go back and forth a couple times just to make it nice and secure. Now I'm going to turn it inside out. And there we have our second fingerless glove. I wish I had done fewer rows than 22 just because they're a little bit big, but it's okay. They're nice and cozy and warm, but this is a very, very easy pattern and so fun. And now we're going to go ahead and sew on the stars that we made right on the top here. Okay, so this is the left one. So I'm laying this one like this, and this is the right one. So, okay, so just make sure you have them facing the right way so you don't sew the star on the palm, you know, instead of the top. So here we have our stars, and I'm just gonna sew mine on top just like that. So I'm gonna grab a hunk of this white yarn and string it through my tapestry needle if I can find it. Oh, here it is. And then I'm just going to sew these little stars on that we made right on the top. I'm just going on the outside seam of the star, back and forth through the glove. Okay, so I got this one sewn on, and now I'm gonna go ahead and sew on the other one. And now I'm just gonna tie the beginning tie and the ending one together in the back, and then I'm gonna weave in these ends, and then I will be done with the fingerless gloves. Okay, I thought I was done, but then I realized I did not like the rough edges on the top and the bottom, so I decided that I wanted a border around it. I am going to start off with attaching a border of single crochet around the top and the bottom with the blue yarn. So I'm going to attach my yarn at the seam that we sewed at. So I'm just gonna insert my hook. And then I'm just going to tie the yarn on. I'm gonna insert my hook and chain 1. And then I'm just gonna go all the way around. Like there are no set stitches to go into, which is why I'm doing this border of the blue, because it'll be easier to then attach the white border that I'm gonna do the same color as the stars. So I'm just going to put a single crochet in every available stitch all the way around. See how there aren't any like set ones to go into, but I feel like it looks a little messy, which is why I kind of want to make the border. So I'm just going to do single crochets around in any available stitch. So it looks nice and uniform. All the way around. Make sure to do it as evenly as possible so it looks nice and cohesive all the way around. So I'm just going to put one single crochet for a border in every available stitch all the way around the bottom of this fingerless glove. Okay, so I went all the way around with the blue, and now I'm just going to cut my blue yarn, set it aside, and now I'm going to attach my white. And it's kind of hard for me to get into the chain 1 so of the row to slip stitch, so I'm just going to go into the first single crochet of the row. And I'm going to slip stitch in the white yarn so we can make one more row of single crochets all the way around, but in this nice white color. So we have a border, a nice clean border all the way around. So I'm going to go chain 1, and in the next stitch I'm going to put a single crochet, and in the next a single crochet, and just single crochets all the way around, and see just how much easier it is when you have a nice set stitch to go into with this white. So I'm going to, it just makes it look a lot cleaner as well when you have the blue as kind of the sacrificial row that makes the white look nice and clean rows. Because I did it without doing the blue, and it just looked kind of messy. The white didn't look as clean. Like I wanted it to look like a nice clean border, and it didn't because the white was just kind of a little more messy, but the blue blends in well with the blue below it, so I thought, well, how about that? And it worked out really well. So I'm just gonna do one single crochet in every single crochet of the previous row, and then I will meet back up with you once we both have that done. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm just going to slip stitch into the first single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, pull it out and tighten, and there we have our border on the bottom, and it looks nice and clean. I really like how that looks, a lot better than my first one that I had made on the other glove. It just looked a lot messier with the white not being so clean like this. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing at the top here, starting with the blue yarn and doing a row of single crochets in every available stitch, and then I'm going to join in this white color and just basically repeat the exact same thing that we did on the bottom and just do the same thing on the top. I'm using a 5mm hook, and I have this yarn did not have the label on it, but it's just, I'm not quite sure what yarn type it is, but it's a worsted weight. So I'm just gonna be using this, and I'm gonna use a white just so it's easier for you guys to see. So I'm gonna start off with a magic circle. I have my short end of the yarn here and the long end that's attached to the ball over on this side. And I'm gonna grab this side here and wrap it around my 3 fingers. So I have an X like this with the short end here, long end here. And then I'm going to grab my hook, put my hook under this first X here, grab this one, twist my hook like this, remove the circle from my fingers, and then chain 1 just to kind of secure that circle. And that is how you make a magic circle. You're also going to need a little bobby pin or a stitch marker. Now I'm going to put 6 single crochets into my magic ring here. And in the first one, I'm going to put that stitch marker. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to pull my magic ring to close the ring. And now, it's so tiny, and now we're going to do a single crochet increase in every stitch, which means we are going to put not 1 single crochet, but 2 single crochets in every stitch. So we have 6, and then at the end of the round, we'll have 12. So I'm going to remove this stitch marker here, put my first single crochet and mark it real quick, and then put my second one right in that same stitch next to it. So now we have 2, and now I'm going to increase in the next stitch and put 2 in there. So now we have 4, put 2 in the next, increase in every stitch, 2 single crochets in every stitch. So now we have 8, 10, and then we have 1 more stitch for our stitch marker, and that will be 12. So now in the next stitch, I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets. First I'm going to mark that first one we made, and in this next round we're going to be increasing in every other stitch. So in the next stitch of the row you just put 1 single crochet, and then in the next you put 2, 1 in the next, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, and 2, and just increase in every other stitch, going all the way around this row. There we go. And then in our next round, we're going to pull out our stitch marker real quick. We're going to do 2 in the first, mark that first one like we've been doing, and then put our second one in that first stitch there. And then we are going to do 2 regular stitches with no increasing in the next 2 stitches, and then increase in the next. So basically for this row, you're going to have 2 single crochets in between every increase. So 1, 1, and then increase. 1, 1, increase. 1, 1, increase. And then our last 2 normal stitches. And now we are going to remove our stitch marker again, and in the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochets, mark our first one, we have 2, and now we're going to have 3 stitches in between every increase. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase, and then we just continue that all the way around with 1, 2, 3, increase, and then we have 3 stitches left for our regular stitches, no increasing. So now that we finished that row of 3 stitches in between every increase, you should have 30 stitches all the way around. So go ahead and count them. 30, okay, I have 30. Hopefully you have 32. 30 as well, not 32. Okay, so now we are going to start the little points to our star. So I'm just gonna remove the stitch marker. And now in our next 6 stitches, we are going to put single crochets. So 1, I'm actually gonna mark this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to skip this first single crochet here. We're going to skip that one and go into our next one with a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, you can remove your stitch marker, 4, and 5. And now we're going to chain 1 again and turn. We're going to skip that first single crochet, go into this one here with our next single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1 and turn. Skip that first single crochet, go into the next one. 1, 2, and 3, chain 1 and turn. Skip the first single crochet, and as you can see, we have 1, 2, we have decreased in a way to make the point smaller as it goes up. So that is all that we're doing for the points. And now to get all the way back down to here to continue our points, we're just going to slip stitch down, not slip stitch, we're going to single crochet, sorry, down the side So you're going to single crochet, not slip stitch, down the side of your point here, and make your final single crochet. See how this last stitch here is attached to our point? You don't want to go into this next one because then your count will be off for the points. So you want to go into this final single crochet of this point, just so you can easily go on to your next 6 and the next 6, just so you can easily go to your next row seamlessly. So now we're going to start our next point, and we're going to go into the next 6 stitches with a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 1 and turn. Skip that first single crochet like we did in the previous point. Go into the next one, and we should have 5 single crochets for this row because we are going subtracting 1 each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1 and turn. Skipping that first single crochet, we should have 4 for this row because we are subtracting 1 each row. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 1 and turn. We should have 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and turn. Skip that first one, go into the next. We should have 2, and we do. 1 and 2. And again, we are going to single crochet down the side just so we can seamlessly get to our next point. Remember, our last one is in that last stitch that's connecting here to the same exact point, just so we can get to our next one. So now we're going to repeat that again and go in the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1 and turn. Skip that first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1 and turn. Skip the first, go into the second. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1 and turn. Skip the first, go into the second. 1, 2, 3, chain 1 and turn. Skip the first, go into the second. 1, 2, and now we single crochet down the side again. With our last being in that last connecting stitch of this point. And now we have 3 points to our star, and we want 5, sorry, we want 5. So you're going to go ahead and make 2 more, following the same exact thing that we did for these 2. Go ahead and make the 4th one, and we'll make the 5th one together. Okay, so let's do the last point together. So we're going to do a single crochet in the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 1 and turn, skip the first, go into the next with our next 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, chain 1, turn, skip the first, go into the second with our next 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 1 and turn, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1 and turn, 1, 2, single crochet down the side, and then in that last stitch, how we single crochet, we're actually going to slip stitch instead. Cut our yarn, and then I forgot what, chain 1. Don't forget to chain 1. Cut your yarn and then pull to tighten. And that is the first star that we're gonna make. We have to make 2, so go ahead, and if you need to rewind the video, go ahead and rewind the video and learn how to make this one again, but we need 2, so go ahead, rewind the video if you need, and make your second one. Okay, so I just whipped up my second one, and now we can single crochet them together. We're gonna, instead of like sewing them together, we're gonna single crochet them together, just because, see how we have like some kind of unevenness? When you single crochet it, it kind of gives a nice little border. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Make sure you have your polyfill handy so we can stuff it. If you are planning on doing some surface crochet like I did with this one, if you're planning on doing that, make sure you do that before everything's sewn together. So if you want to single crochet one or both of the panels, make sure that you do that now, because you can't really do it afterwards. So go ahead and do that now. If you want to make the spiral like I did, or if you want to put something on there, go ahead and do that before we start single crocheting it together. So now I have my 2 stars, and I'm going to put them together like this because I want both of this side visible. So I'm also going to make sure I have all of the little ends tucked in, because I don't really want to weave them in. I don't like weaving in ends, so if I don't have to, I won't. So I'm just going to tuck those in so I don't have to weave them in later. And now I'm going to bring in my yarn, and I'm going to find a spot that I can connect it with. So I'm just going to put my hook through 2 stitches that go together, and I'm going to bring in my yarn, and I'm going to tie it twice so it's nice and secure. And I'm going to reinsert my hook back into that stitch and get a chain 1, just so I can kind of get started. And it's going to be a little bit tricky at times to get your single crochet working, only because there aren't like set stitches to go into at certain sides of this star. But just do your best and put as many loosely fitted single crochets as you can. Don't be too tight with it. Make sure your single crochets are fairly loose all the way around, but not too loose. So have a nice happy medium. So I'm just inserting my hook in 2 stitches on each side and single crocheting them together. And I'm just going to keep going with this until I have only one point that's unsewn. this one right here, so then I can stuff it with the polyfill. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around, single crocheting this star closed until I have that one point left. Okay, so I have one point left that I can stuff my polyfill in. I'm just going to pull out my stitch there so I don't lose it. And I'm just going to stuff the polyfill in to the star. Make sure that you push it all the way to the points so the points get nice and puffy too. Then go ahead and reattach your stitch that you were working on and continue with your single crochets around this last point. It'll be a little more awkward for this one, but once I'm like almost all the way closed, I'm just gonna quick stuff in a little bit of the polyfill just so this little point is just as filled as the other ones. Then I'm just going to slip stitch into the final stitch, chain 1, cut my yarn, pull through and tighten. I'm just going to squish around the polyfill so it's nice and even, and there we have our cutie little star. Isn't it adorable? I'm going to go ahead and weave in these ends into the star. So I'm just going to poke it right in anywhere, and then I'm going to poke it back through in that same spot that I poked it through. And again in that same spot, just going kind of zigzaggy around just to kind of weave that in so it sticks inside of the star. And then you can just cut it nice and close, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So I went ahead and made this little beaded keychain thing, and then we have our keychain here. So now we have our cute little star, and we're going to need our little pliers to attach it. We have our jump ring here, and I'm just going to open the jump ring and then attach it to the top, single crochets here, and then I'm going to close the ring. And there you have your super cute plushy keychain that is very beginner friendly and super quick and simple to work up. And you can add any kind of embellishments, any kind of beads, any kind of surface crochet pattern you want, and it's just so cute. And you can change the colors, you can make like a very variated color yarn you can pick. You could even make the border a different color if you wanted to. The single crochet border, you could make it a different color. There's just so many options, but that is the end of how to make these adorable beaded keychains. And they're just so cute and so fun. So now that we have our keychains done, we're going to move on to the next pattern. I'm going to be using 3 different colors for the blanket. I'm going to start off with the white, then do the blue, the light blue, and then the dark navy. And I have a 5.75 millimeter hook. I still cannot find my 5.5, but I will keep looking because I wanted a 5.5, but I am going to make do with the 5.75. So I'm grabbing my cream white yarn right here. I want a center pole, so I'm gonna look for the center pole real quick. Oh, I think I found it. Oh, I'm so happy. I love the center pole so much. Makes it so much easier. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with a magic circle. And I show a little bit more detail on how to do the magic circle in the star keychain. So if you wanna go back to that little tutorial, and I go through the magic circle a little bit slower when I show you how to do it for the keychain. So if you want to rewind, then you can definitely do that. But I am going to start with a magic circle. And I'm going to then chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now I am going to do double crochets right into my circle. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good hold of it. There we go. So I'm going to put, since this first chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, we are going to need 25 in total. So since the first one counts as 1, we have 2 so far, and we need 25. So you just put 25 double crochets into the ring. So counting your chain 3, then you can technically just do 24 double crochets, like 24 technical double crochets, but that chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So after the chain 3, then put 24 double crochets into your magic circle. So now I'm just going to pull my string here at the end of my magic circle to tighten the circle. And then I'm going to find the chain 3 and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. I actually ended up redoing the row with my 5 millimeter hook because I just think it fits better. So I ended up redoing it with the 5 millimeter hook. So you can do that if you want, but yeah, I just wanted to let you know. Now we are going to, for this round, make the points to the star. So we're going to skip this first stitch right here, and we're going to go into this one with a single crochet. And then we're going to skip the next stitch again and go into this stitch with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to chain 3, 2, 3, and put 3 more double crochets into that same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to skip this first stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet just to close off that point. So we have our first point. Now I'm going to skip the next stitch, go into the next one again with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 2, 3 again. Put 3 double crochets into that same stitch. 1, 2, 3. Skip the next stitch, go into the second one with a single crochet to close that point. and then we're going to skip the next stitch, go into the second one, again repeating with our 3 double crochets to make the next point. 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Put 3 more double crochets into that exact same stitch. Skip the next stitch, go into the second one with a single crochet to close off our point. And there's what we have so far. Skip the next stitch, go into the next one, the second one, with our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets into that same stitch again. 2, 3. Skip the first stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet to close our point. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and we are going to go skip the next stitch, go into the second one with our 3 double crochets. 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets into that exact same stitch. Now I'm going to slip stitch into our single crochet of the round. Just slip stitch right into that. And there is our little star shape. So we're just going to keep basically building up on this star shape until we have a big blanket, or whatever size blanket that you want. So in the next stitch, we are going to put a slip stitch. And then we're going to chain 3. And in the next 2 stitches, we are going to put 1 double crochet. So now we have reached our chain 3 space here, like the tip of the star point. And what we're going to do is do the same thing that we did in the previous row by putting 3 double crochets into this space here. And then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And put 3 more double crochets right beside it into this same space. 2 and 3. So there we go. Now in the next 2 stitches, I'm going to put 1 double crochet, and then I'm going to skip 2 and put 2 more double crochets. I'll show you that, what we're doing. So in the next stitch, put 1 double crochet and another double crochet. So we have 2. And then you're going to skip these 2 stitches, go into this one here with another double crochet, and then another double crochet. So it looks like that. And now we're going to repeat that again by putting 3 double crochets into the chain 3 space, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, oops, it's not getting that, oh my goodness. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did over here by doing 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, skipping 2 stitches, and in the third doing another double crochet, and then another double crochet in the next stitch. And then we repeat that again by doing 3 double crochets into the chain 3 space, chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochets into that same space, 2 and 3, There we go. And then we're going to again repeat that by doing 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches, skipping 1 and 2, going into the third with another double crochet, and then in the next one with another double crochet, and then 3 double crochets into that space, chaining 3, and 3 more double crochets into that space. And then in the next 2 again, we are going to do double crochets, skipping 2, going into the third with a double crochet, and the next one with a double crochet, and then we do 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space of the previous row, and then in the next 2 stitches we do double crochets. And now to finish off this round, you just slip stitch into the top, of that chain 3. And that is what my star looks like so far. Now we are going to go into the next stitch with a slip stitch like we did in the previous row, but we are going to now chain 3, 2, 3. And now we have 3 double crochets, so we're going to go into each one with 1 double crochet in the top of each. And then we reached our chain 3 space, which we're going to do the exact same thing in every single time we reach it. We're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets into that stitch. So every time you reach that stitch, every time you reach the chain 3 space of the previous row, you put 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that same stitch to make your next point, just to keep building up those points. So now we are going to go into, as you can see, there's a little stitch right here, and we're going to go into that one in this row because we need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we skip 2, and then we need 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So we're going to actually go into this stitch right here. So if you need to pull back the chain 3, the 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, then just pull it back a little bit so you can see that stitch. And we're going to go into that one with 1 double crochet, and in the next 3 with 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should have 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you skip 2 again like we did for the previous row. Go into the third with your next double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you have 4 on each side. 4 double crochets here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not counting these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, skipping these 2 right here. And then of course we've reached our next chain 3 space. So we're going to put 3 double crochets, chain 1, 2, 3, and 3 double crochets into that same space. And then again, we're going to pull our little 3 double crochets aside so we can reach that stitch there, this one right here, this one, and put our next double crochet into that one. And we need 3 more, we need 4 in total, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, skipping the next 2, going into the third with 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. And then again, we've reached our chain 3 space, so 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 2, and 3, and put 3 double crochets into that same stitch. There we go. And now you can pull back your 3 double crochets and see that stitch there. We're going to go into it with our next double crochet until we have 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip the next 1, 2, go into the third with 1 double crochet, and then in the next 3 with 1 double crochet, so you have 4 double crochets in total. And then of course we reached our chain 3 space, so 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets into that same space. Now we're going to repeat the same steps again. Go into that first stitch there, second, the third, and the fourth, all with 1 double crochet. Skip the next 2, go into the third with 1 double crochet, and then in the next 3 with 1 double crochet, so you have 4 in total on this side. And then again, do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into this chain 3 space of the previous row. And now you're going to scooch over your chain 3 double crochets, and in the next 4 stitches put 1 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there we go. And now I am going to switch my colors. I'm going to be switching colors every 3 rows, but since this little center row was so tiny, I thought that I would just not count that one. So I'm going to change colors every 3 rows with this one first, this one, and then this one. But it is you could be doing the same exact color. You could be switching every row. You can do literally whatever you want. There is no rules. You can do anything you want. So I'm just going to switch my color. I really want to find another center pole. And I did. Oh my goodness, this is a great day. I'm finding all the center poles and it's just making me so happy. Okay, so I'm going to cut this color here and set it aside. And I'm going to bring in my next color with a slip stitch. So I'm going to find this chain 3 here and slip stitch in my light fuzzy blue color. I like adding a yarn that's like a different texture to a project just to make a little bit of fun variation. So now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches, I am going to put 1 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into this corner space here like we've been doing. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to scooch those over so I can see this better. And now we're going to be working 6 instead of 4. Like we did in the previous round, we did 4. Now we're going to be doing 6, so that's 2. Okay, I kind of messed this one up. So let me start over. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip the next 2, go into the third with 1, and go into all the next 6 stitches with 1 double crochet. So we have 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets in our chain 3 space of the previous row. Scooch those over, and in the next 6 stitches, do 1 double crochet, and 6, skip the next 2, go into the third, and the next 5 stitches. So you have 6 total on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, you know what we do in the chain 3 space. We do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. So now I am going to repeat what we've been doing, scooching this over, doing 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 here, skipping 2, 6 here, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, then 6, skip 2, 6, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then 6 down. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. You go ahead and finish yours, and we'll meet back up to finish the round and start the next round. All right, so I reached the end of this round. It's looking so pretty. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 like we've been doing. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, slip stitch into that one, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we should have 8 stitches to go into now, because in the previous row we had 6, and then in the previous row we had 4. So each row we are increasing it by 2. So eventually I'm going to let you guys do this on your own, but just know that every row should be increased the amount that you're going up and down by 2. So we're going to do a couple more rounds together. So now we have our slip stitch, chain 3, and we are going to do 1, oops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 double crochets. And then of course we have our chain 3 space, which we put 1, 2, 3 double crochets into, and then we chain 3 and put 3 more double crochets into that same space. And then we scooch these over. We have our first double crochet here. And now we're doing 8 because we increased the previous row by 2. So we've got 2 so far. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Skip the next 2, go into the third and the next 7 stitches with 1 double crochet in every stitch. And now 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. So there we go. And now we're gonna scooch these over, get that first stitch there. I got the first one, and now we're gonna go into the next 7 with 1 double crochet. So 1, 2, so then 8. Okay, and then skip the next 2, go into the third, and then we should have 8 in total, going all the way up to the chain 3 space. So we have 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8. And now we are going to go into the chain 3 space with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then don't forget that stitch right there. Scooch them over if you need to, and then go 8 down, skip 2, 8, going back, chain 3, in the chain 3 space, do 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, then do 8, skip 2, 8, you know what to do in this space, and then 8 going right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish mine, and then I will see you once we're both done with this row. Okay, so I finished that round, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and then chain 3. Now that we have our chain 3 to begin our next row, since we had 8 in this row, 6 in this row, 8 in this row, and we're increasing by 2, we should have 10 in this row. And then the next row we should have 12, the next row we should have 14, 16, going on for however long you want to make, however big you want to make your blanket. So I have in the next stitch 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch we put a double crochet, and all in the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, we're going to want 10 in total. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then of course 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. And then don't forget to put your first stitch right in that one, and it might be hidden, so you'll have to move over your 3 double crochets there. So we have 1, 2, 9, and 10. Skip the next 2, go into the third with 1 double crochet, and then all the rest going to this, all the way going up to the chain 3 space there. So we have 10 stitches in total. And I'm going to keep repeating this. This is my last row with this blue color. So I'm going to keep repeating this with 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then 10, skip 2, 10, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 10, skip 2, 10, and all the way around until I reach over here. And then we'll do at least one more round together, and I'm going to switch my color to the dark navy because I have 3 rows in total here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this round, and we'll meet back up when we're both done. All right, so I am done with my round here, and I am going to, oh my goodness, guys, we have another center pole. What a lovely day it is. Okay, so now we are going to bring in our dark navy color because we've done 3 with this nice little blue color. So now I'm going to bring in my navy, and I need to find my scissors. I don't know where they are. Oh, here they are. Found them. And I'm going to cut my fuzzy blue and get this one out of the way, and bring in my navy with a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. All right, so in that next stitch, I am going to slip stitch and then chain 3 to start the round. And now, since we had 10, we should have 12 for this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Perfect, we have 12. So now we're going to do our 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space of the previous row, just like we've been doing a bunch of times now. Now we're going to do our next 12 double crochets in the next 12 stitches. And then of course we skip the next 2, go into the 3rd, and then in the next 11 stitches we'll put 1 double crochet, so we have 12 in total. And now I'm going to go into this chain 3 space. You know what to do: 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then 12, skip 2, 12, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 12, skip 2, 12, and so on all the way around until we reach our beginning. And then we'll just do the beginning of the next row together, and then I'll kind of explain to you how much the pattern just repeats itself. We'll just go through it one more time just so you make sure that you completely understand it, so you're not at all confused. So let's just finish this this round, and then we will do a little bit of the next round, and I'll explain a little bit of what to do for all of the future rounds. There we go. And now we have our slip stitching to do. So now we're gonna go ahead and slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, like we're gonna do for every row going forward. And now we are going to, again, slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, 2, 3, and then we are gonna start our next row, which this one had 12, so this row should have 14. So let's go ahead and go into our next 14 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, and 14. And then of course we have our 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets, 3, 4, 5, and 14. Skip the next 2, go into the 3rd and into the next 13 stitches, so you have 14 in total. So now I think you guys have kind of gotten the hang of it, that I think we can go ahead and do this on our own. So now we just do the 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then 14, skip 2, 14, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 14, and then remember that with every row, the amount of stitches here, this one's 14, the next row will be 16, 18, 20, and so on and so forth. So all you have to do for the next row is do 16, skip 16, 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 16, 16 all the way around. And then of course we slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, and then do our 16 or 18, 20, 22, however many you want to do. So I hope you guys have the hang of it now, and I'm going to go ahead and keep going and continuing with my star blanket, and I'm going to keep switching colors every 3. So I'm going to do this row and then one more with the navy, and then I'm going to go back to my creamy-ish white color, and then go back to the fuzzy and just keep switching around. So you switch around however much you would like, but I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with my blanket, and you go ahead and continue on with yours. Okay, so now we're going to make the coin purse. And first of all, it starts off with making a star granny square. And it's very simple, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I have two colors here. I have a cornflower type blue color, and then I have this cream. They're both Big Twist value yarns. And I'm going to start off by making the star, and I already made my star, and it is the exact same star that I showed you guys how to make for the fingerless gloves here. So if you want to go ahead and rewind, it's the exact same star, it's the exact same tutorial. So go ahead and follow that tutorial to make your star for this granny square. You can go ahead and rewind if you need to, and then we can meet back up with our stars. Here's my star already made, and now comes the part, I did it in the blue color, and now comes the part to do the cream border. You can attach your cream or whatever color yarn in any of the points that you want. I'm going to attach mine in this point, right in this stitch, right here, right there. And I'm going to grab my yarn, and then I'm just going to tie it here to make it nice and secure. And now I'm going to reinsert my hook back into that stitch, grab the yarn, chain one, and in the next stitch we're going to be working all the way down here, up here, all in these stitches here. And in the next stitch, I'm going to work 1 half double crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to work 1 double crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to work 1 treble crochet. And by the way, the hook that I'm using is a 5. And the next 2 stitches are going to be a triple crochet 2 together. And it sounds like a lot, like a mouthful, but I will explain to you how to do it. So you go ahead and start as you would a normal treble crochet by yarning over twice. We're going to work into this stitch right here. So insert your hook, pull up a loop. You have 4 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now you have 2 stitches on your hook, and you're going to leave those and not yarn over and pull through 2. And you're going to yarn over twice again like you're making another treble crochet, and go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 3 on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that is a treble crochet 2 together. And now in the next stitch you're going to put a treble crochet, a double crochet in the next, half double crochet in the next, and then kind of turn your work just a bit and work a single crochet right here. And there's what we have so far. And now we're going to go ahead and do that same sequence again. So we have finished off with our single crochet, and now we're going to build up our stitches by doing a half double crochet, a double crochet, treble crochet, and then we're going to do that same treble crochet 2 together. So I'll show you how to do that again. So you yarn over twice, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and don't yarn over and pull through those last 2. Just go ahead and yarn over again. So don't complete that treble crochet. yarn over, insert into the next hook. You got 5 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 3, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So we basically just turned 2 stitches into 1. And now I'm going to treble crochet into the next stitch. Double crochet in the next. Oops. Half double crochet into the next. Then turn a little and do 1 single crochet right into that stitch. Let's do 1 more point and then you can finish off with the others. So let's just finish, let's just go ahead and do this last one, this one together, and then you guys can finish the last ones on your own. So again, we're going to start off with a half double crochet in the next stitch, a double crochet, treble crochet, and then we're going to do that treble crochet 2 together in the next 2 stitches. And then a treble crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next, half double crochet in the next, turn a little, and do a single crochet in that stitch right there. So now you can go ahead and do the same thing that we've been doing all the way down and up, until you reach this beginning chain 1. Now that I have finished the round, I'm going to, into that first stitch here, I'm just going to slip stitch and then chain 1. And then we're going to start making our square, because this is round, but we want to make it into a square. So now we are going to go into the next stitch of this round with a half double crochet, double crochet in the next, treble crochet, and now we are going to make a corner. And for the corner, we are going to put 1 treble crochet, chain 2, and then put another treble crochet, oops, into that same stitch. Then in the next stitch, we're going to put 1 treble crochet, double crochet in the next, half double crochet in the next, and then in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, we are going to do a single crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So basically what we're doing is we are using the tallest stitches to make our corner, and then we are going back down with single crochets to make the flat part, because we need our tall stitches here and our shorter stitches here. So now after we've made those 3 single crochets, we're going to repeat the exact same thing that we did over here and put 1 half double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next, so we keep building up to to make our square shape, treble crochet in the next, then we're going to make our corner space, which is 1 treble crochet, chain 2, and 1 treble crochet, all into the same stitch. And now we're going to go ahead and build back down our square. So we're going to reverse what we just did and do 1 treble crochet, 1 double crochet, 1 half double crochet, and then 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. So there we have 2 corners. Now we just need 2 more. So let's go ahead and do 1 more corner together. So half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, treble crochet again for our corner in the next stitch, chain 2, treble crochet into that same stitch, and then we're going to build back down our square. So treble crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, and then singles in the next 3 stitches. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my last corner, and we'll meet back up once we're done with our last 3 single crochets. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first chain 1 space that we did in the beginning. I'm going to slip stitch into that, chain 1, try to find my scissors, so here they are, cut my yarn and pull out my hook and tighten, and there is my star granny square. Now I'm going to go ahead and weave in all of the ends, and also I'm going to make another one. So you need 2 for this little project. So go ahead and completely repeat this process, rewind, and make 2 of these. Okay, so I finished my 2 squares, but unfortunately I really want to just like put it all together right now, but these squares are in desperate need of some blocking. So I'm gonna go ahead and block them before I do the coin purse. I'm gonna let them block for like probably 24 hours, just because they would lay a lot more even. See how kind of like wonky the squares are? It's just kind of what happens when you turn a circle into a square. It gets a little bit wonky. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin these to a mat, to my blocking mats, and then I'm gonna spray them with some water and let them sit for about 24 hours so they can get a nice square shape. So here I have my mat and my squares, and as you can see just how much nicer it is, nice and blocked. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with this one, spritz some water, and also will probably steam them as well at some point while they're on the mat, because the heat is also very helpful for acrylic yarn to get it a little bit more soft and workable. So I might do that as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and block this, but I wanted to show you guys how nice it looks, nice and square, and just the difference in the 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some pins in this guy. Okay, so my star granny squares have actually been sitting way longer than 24 hours. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been days, because it's been hard to like have enough sun in the winter time where I live. So I'm just removing the pins, even though it's not even sunny today. It was sunny early this morning, but I'm always chasing the sun to try to get the best sun for the videos. But here we have our granny square blocked and nice and much more square. If you can remember what they looked like, they were a lot more wonky, so I definitely recommend blocking your granny squares. Always block your granny squares, in my opinion, just so they can sew together really nicely. Okay, so my two little granny squares are ready to be sewn together. I'm going to use this blue color that I used for the star to do a single crochet border around the outside. I'm going to attach them with a single crochet trim rather than like sew them together with a tapestry needle or slip stitch them. I'm going to make them with a single crochet border. So I have them, this is going to be the inside, and I want this side facing out. So make sure you have the side facing out that you want to have facing out. So now we are just going to sew all the way around here, leave the top of course. I just attached my yarn to both granny squares right here, to this top corner, and I'm going to chain one just to get going, and then I'm going to go all the way down with a single crochet in the top two stitches here, and then making a single crochet to connect the two together. And I'm just going to continue doing that all the way down. And then for the corners, you're going to want to put 3 single crochets in each corner just because 1 is not enough. So go ahead and put 3, and then turn. And then we're going to do the exact same thing all the way down this row too. Inserting your hook through both stitches on either side, yarning over and doing your single crochet to join. And then I'm going to do the 3 single crochets in the corner like we did on this side. And there's what it's looking like so far. So now I'm going to do the same thing all the way to here and then just slip stitch into this corner space. And I'm just ending with a slip stitch and chaining 1, cutting my yarn, tightening it a bit. And there you have your single crochet border of blue. And now we're going to grab our cream yarn and we're going to make a little bit of height here all the way around the coin purse, just because it needs a little something, a little trim of something. So now I'm going to only attach my yarn to the front part, like not both like we did for this row, because we want to go all the way around because we need an opening. So I'm just going to attach my yarn into this corner space, not into both. And I'm going to yarn over and chain 1 just to get started. And I'm going to make 1 single crochet into this corner space, and then go into the next stitch with a single crochet, and the next, and the next, all the way down with one single crochet in every stitch. Until we reach the other corner, which is right here. And I'm going to put 2 single crochets into this corner, and then I'm going to scooch on over to the next corner over here and put 2 single crochets into this corner as well. And then I'm going to, in my first stitch, insert a single crochet, and then just keep going around this row with 1 single crochet in every stitch, just like we did on the other side. And then when we reach our next corner space, you're going to put 2 single crochets into it. And then you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that we made. Just slip stitch, chain 1, and now we're going to keep going again with 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So go ahead and again make 1 single crochet in every stitch. This row will be easier because you just go into every single crochet. You don't have to do the whole putting 2 in or whatever. You just go in the top of every stitch just with 1 single crochet. And then do that all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch again, chain 1, and then in my next stitch I'm going to single crochet just like we've been doing all the way around again, and this will be our 3rd row of this. So this is row 3, and I think that we're going to stop at row 3 because I think it will be plenty of length. Now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch, chain 1, and cut my yarn. And now I'm just going to go ahead and weave in all of the ends. Okay, so now that we have all of the ends woven in, we're going to need to make a little bit of a tie. So I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain an amount. I'm not quite sure how much, so I'm just going to keep on chaining and I'll let you know how many I chain in just a minute. So now I have 80 chained. You can chain more or less, totally optional. So now I'm just chained 80 and I'm going to cut my yarn. I chained another 1, so technically 81. Pull out my yarn, tighten it a little bit, and then we have our drawstring that we're going to go ahead and weave in. But I'm just making sure that I pulled each end tightly, and then I'm just going to cut it relatively close to each end. And as you can see, I did my chains a little bit tighter than I usually would. Definitely wouldn't make these tighter if you're trying to go into them, like back into them to make a row of something. but I thought that it looked nice and braided, and that was the look that I was going for. So I just let my hook do the work and just did the chaining. I can show you what I mean by that real fast. So I'm just gonna do a quick slip knot. So I just let the size of the hook do the work with the chaining, you know, so just let the space of the hook determine the space of the chain, if you know what I mean by that. Just so it looked braided and not like just loose chains. So whatever way you want to do it, you could also do a ribbon as well, or anything that you want. You could do ribbon, or you could make one of these, totally optional, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to go into that middle row of single crochets, and I'm just going to weave in, sorry, go this way first, and I'm just going to weave in back and forth in this middle row of single crochets, because we had 3 rows. So I'm just going to go ahead back and forth and weave in ribbon, not ribbon, my chains that I made. And there we go. There is the finished coin purse. I think it looks super cute. And then of course you can use your drawstring to tighten it to keep everything nice and safe inside. And here's the coin purse all done and tied with a cute little bow. And of course you can use ribbon or whatever you want to use, totally optional. And now let's go ahead and move on to the next star pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to start on the sweater, and I'm using this Hometown Lion brand yarn in super bulky. And the first thing that I'm going to do is start the front panel of my sweater. And I'm just going to grab the end of this yarn, and I'm going to make a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain an even amount of chains that reaches from shoulder to shoulder on my measurements. So if you your chain amount might be completely different than mine, so go ahead and chain an even amount that is going to reach from your shoulder, from your right shoulder to your left shoulder. I chained 40, and that reaches my shoulder to shoulder measurement, but I think I'm going to chain a couple extra. So I'm going to chain 42 just so I have an even number, because you want to make sure you have an even number. And the stitch that I'm going to be using for this sweater is a double crochet. So I'm going to make my first double crochet in the 3rd chain from my hook. So I have my first double crochet, and I'm going to make another double crochet in the next stitch, and the next, and the next, just 1 double crochet in the top of every chain, however many chains you have, going all the way down to the beginning chain, the first chain of this row. So I'm just going to do that with 1 double crochet in every single stitch, and I will see you guys at the end of the row. Now I have my chain amount, and I'm just going to go ahead and count my stitches to make sure that I have 40. So 1, 2, 3, 38, 39, and 40. I do have 40, and that's because I chained 2 more. After I was done with my 40, I chained 40 plus the 2, because remember how we skipped 2 stitches and went into the 3rd, just because I wanted to have the even 40. So that's why I chained the 2 extra, so I could have a nice even 40 stitches. So now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to turn my work. And then in that first stitch there, I'm going to put my first double crochet. And then in all the next stitches, all the way down this row again for row 2 or row 3 if you count the chains as row 1. So I'm just putting 1 double crochet in every single stitch all the way down this row until I have my 40 stitches. Okay, so I finished row 2, and now I'm going to chain 2 again, turn my work, and in that same stitch do my first double crochet. And now this completely repeats itself for many more rows until you reach the length of the sweater that you want. So just keep repeating this, going 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down, chain 2, turn your work, do your first double crochet in that first stitch, and then just keep repeating that until you have the length of the sweater that you want, minus maybe like 5 inches, because we're going to make the shoulder panels and the neckline. And I will explain that in a minute once we get to that point. But for now, go ahead and continue with your pattern of doing 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way down to the end here, chain 2, turn your work, do your first double crochet in that first stitch, and then just keep repeating until you reach the length that you want, minus like maybe 4 or 5 inches because we're doing the shoulder panels. And yes, I'll explain that in a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, and I'll see you when I'm done with this, and then we'll make the shoulder panels together. Now I'm going to make one of the sleeve panels, and it's basically kind of like the same thing as we did with the front body panels. It's basically the same thing, the same process. We're just going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to chain. This amount varies on a couple different things. If you want your sleeves to be fairly tight to your arm, you're going to chain a certain amount, put it under your armpit over your shoulder, just around where the sleeve goes here. You're going to put it around that thickest part, and you're going to see how you like it. If you want it tighter, if you want it to be fairly loose, like a fairly baggy sleeve, that's definitely up to you. So it depends on how many you chain. So you just chain however many is your preference. If you want form-fitting sleeves, if you want flowy sleeves, I like always on my sweaters, I like to have a nice flowy sleeve. So I'm going to chain an amount that is bigger than like that it doesn't fit form-fitting, but you don't want things to be too tight, but you don't want it to be too loose. But I would just rather everything be too loose than too tight, because too tight is so uncomfortable. So go ahead and chain however many you want. I'll let you know how many I chain. If you want to chain similar, if you want a similar sleeve size, like if you want nice flowy sleeves, or if you want nice form-fitting sleeves, whatever your preference is, you can do that. It's totally optional with whatever you do. So I'm gonna go ahead and chain a certain amount that I like, and then I'll let you know how many I chain. I ended up chaining 48, and I brought the 2 ends together, and I slipped it over my arm, and it's baggy, and that's the way that I like it. So I am just going to go with that. And what basically we're going to do now is completely do the exact same thing that we did for the front panels. We just chained a certain amount, and then you skip 2 chains and go into the third with your first double crochet, and then you just double crochet in every single stitch going all the way down. Then you chain 2, turn your work, and put your first double crochet, and you put your first double crochet in that first stitch of the row. So basically you just completely do the same exact thing that you did for the front panels for your sleeves. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but then you have to go ahead and do it one more time. Do the exact same thing, so you have two sleeves. So go ahead and finish your first sleeve, and then go ahead and make another sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my 1 double crochet in every stitch until I reach my arm length, and you can go ahead and do the same thing until you reach your desired arm length. Okay, so I have 21 rows done of this panel. I already have my front panel done. Now this is my back panel. And now I'm going to work on the shoulder sections. On my first panel that I made, I wanted 6 inches on either side of each panel, which was about 13 stitches on each side. So I'm going to do the same thing with this panel. And just go ahead and measure with how you want, but mine is 6 inches on each side, so that's 13 stitches here, 13 stitches here, and 14 stitches for the neckline. So your neckline you might want to be smaller or bigger or whatever, but just take into note that we're going to add some ribbing around the neckline as well, just to make kind of a slight neck, like a turtleneck type ribbing, but not like a whole turtleneck, but kind of like, you'll see, I mean, you'll probably have seen from the sample photo. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 13 stitches in on each side with my stitch marker. So I'm going to go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'm going to put one of my stitch markers in the 13th stitch on this side, and then do the same thing on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to mark that stitch as well. So then we have our neckline in the middle here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So if you did the same as me and you want the same neckline as me, I have just 6 inches on either side, or 13 stitches on either side, and then 14 stitches in the middle for the neckline. Okay, so now we're going to work on our shoulder sections. We're only going to do 4 rows on each side. I'm going to show you how to do this side, and then you can go ahead and do this side on your own. You'll need to attach some yarn at the first stitch, just because our yarn is already attached at this end, so we don't need to attach it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys using this row right here. So for this shoulder section, we're just going to chain 2 like normal. 1, 2, and then turn our work just like we always do. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch, and including the stitch marker stitch, all the way down. Just 1 double crochet in each stitch, just like we've been doing, but only to that stitch marker. I reached my stitch marker stitch, and I'm just going to pop that stitch marker out because we don't need it anymore. And I'm going to put my last double crochet into that stitch that the stitch marker was into. So now this is the first row of our shoulder panel. So now we're going to chain 2, and this is where the row gets different. This row is different. They alternate with a regular row and then one with a decrease in the first stitch. So we're going to do a decrease in the first stitch, or a double crochet 2 together. So we're going to do a decrease in the first 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over like we've been doing, insert our hook into that first stitch there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to leave those 2 and not yarn over, pull through 2 to finish the double crochet, because we want to decrease and make 2 stitches, these 2 stitches, into 1. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and as you can see, what we did was turn those 2 stitches into only 1. So now for this row, we should have, if you did the same thing as me, you should have 12 double crochets in this row. So then you go ahead all the way to the beginning again with 1 double crochet in every stitch, just like normal. No more decreasing, just 1 decrease in that first 2 stitches of the row. And then just go all the way to the beginning. You should have 12 stitches. And there we go. So now this row is going to be the same thing as our first row. We're just going to chain 2, turn our work. We're not going to do any decreasing. We're just going to do 1 double crochet in every stitch going all the way down. And we should again have 12 stitches in this row as well. So I'm just putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until I reach the end over here. Okay, so there we go. We have 3 rows. I'm only doing 4. If you want to do more, you're more than welcome. If you want to do less, you're more than welcome. But this is my last row of this side of the shoulder panel. And we're going to do a decrease again. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to do a double crochet decrease again. So then we'll have 11 stitches in the row now. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll show you guys how to do it one more time. In that first stitch, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to leave them, yarn over, go into the next stitch there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 3 on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And then you're going to continue on, going into the next stitch with 1 double crochet, and all the next stitches with just 1 double crochet. So then you should have 11 stitches in this row. And then only 4 rows I'm doing. So I'm going to, at the last stitch, which we are almost there, I am going to make my final double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to cut my yarn. I chained 1, I don't know if I said that, but I chained 1, and then I cut my yarn, tightened it a bit, and then we're done with this side's shoulder panel. So there you go. As you can see, it kind of decreases a bit. So now we're going to go ahead and attach our yarn on this side, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on this side. We're going to repeat it completely on this side. Okay, so these are the stars that I ended up doing. They are very similar to the star that I did for the pouch and for the arm warmers, the hand warmers, but they're a little bit smaller because those were bigger. So I adjusted the pattern a bit, and I'll show you that in just a sec. But I ended up I literally made, I think, over 50 of these little stars. And when I sewed them on, I realized they looked more like blobs because the points are not very pointy. So they ended up just looking like blobs like that, and it did not look like a star. And it highly disappointed me. So I have been working on this pattern. I did a couple of different sizes. I don't know where the other ones are at the moment, but I think this one I think is the best because this one just was not looking star-like enough. So I will show you how I did these guys. It's pretty similar to the pattern that I did for those ones. It's very similar, just a little bit different. So I'll show you how I did it real quick. So start off with the magic circle, and then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to put 15 half double crochets into the ring. And for the other one, we put double crochets into the ring, but I'm going to put 15 half double crochets into the magic circle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 14 and 15. So I did 15 half double crochets into the ring. Now I'm going to pull the ring, the end of the magic circle, to close it. And then I'm going to find that first half double crochet. I'm going to go right into it with a slip stitch. So there we have our little circle. And now I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in the second stitch right here, sorry, it's not focusing. In the second stitch right here, I'm going to put a single crochet. And in the next stitch, I'm going to put 1 half double crochet. And then in that last stitch, I'm going to put a double crochet. And then we're going to count 1, 2, 3 stitches. We're going to go into that one, into the third stitch with a slip stitch. So there we have our first point. As you can see, it's a little smaller than the other one. So then we're going to go ahead and chain 4 again. And then in that second stitch, we're going to put our first single crochet. Then we're going to build that up. And in the next stitch, we're doing a half double crochet in that next chain, half double crochet. And then in that last one there, we're going to do a double crochet. Then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into the third stitch there. And we have 2 points to our star. And then I'm going to chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in that second chain, we're putting our single crochet. Then we're going to build it up with a bigger stitch, a taller stitch. We're going to put a half double crochet in the next, and then a double crochet in that last stitch. Then we're going to do a slip stitch in the 1, 2, 3 right there into that third stitch, 1, 2, 3. We have 3 points, and we're going to chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4. The other pattern is you chain 5, but this one we're only going to chain 4 because we're trying to make it a little smaller. So we're going to do single crochet in the second, chain, half double crochet in the third, and a double crochet in the fourth. Then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, slip stitch, and we have 4 points. We'll do the last one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In that second chain, do your single crochet. In the third chain, do your half double crochet, and then in the fourth chain, do your double crochet. And then 1, 2, 3 stitches left. You slip stitch into the third. Go ahead and chain 1. So now you're not going to want to cut your yarn just yet. Just hold on 1 second. I'm going to leave my tail relatively long because I want to use it to sew my star onto the panels. So I'm leaving my my ending strand here a little bit longer. So go ahead and cut yours a little bit longer. Then you can pull out your yarn, tighten that magic circle, and then there we have a cutie little star that's a little bit smaller than the ones we made for the garland and for the other 3 patterns. So it's just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and make a bunch of these. I'm a little bummed because I have to make a bunch more, but it's okay. You live and learn. Okay, so here I am just sewing the stars onto the panels. I used about 14 to 15 stars per panel. And also I wanted to remind you, don't forget to leave the end, that final end of that star longer, because it does save a lot of time that you don't have to weave in the ends as well, because this did take a little bit longer than I expected. So don't forget to do that. Okay, so I have all of my panels. These are the sleeves, and these are the front and back panels. So I have all of them with the stars sewn on. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would, but it's done, and I'm very, very happy. So now I'm gonna lay everything out the way that it needs to go. This is the front, looking so cute. Okay, so this is the front. I'm gonna flip it around. So we wanna go on the opposite side. So I'm gonna flip it around like this. Then I'm gonna grab the other side and flip it like this. So then we have both shoulder panels touching each other like this. And then we're going to sew the shoulder panels together first, this one and this one. So I'm just going to grab my yarn, and now I'm just going to sew the shoulder panels together. Everything's inside out, of course. So I'm going to grab a chunk of yarn, doesn't have to be that long, and I'm going to cut a piece of yarn. It's not very long because I just need to sew this right here. And I'm going to sew both sides of the shoulder panels together on this side, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side. But how I'm going to do it is I'm going to find my edge here, and I'm going to sew the back loop of this side. Actually, I'm going to put it through this first stitch right here, because this one I'm going to just tie the yarn on with. So I'm going to go ahead and tie it together so it's nice and sturdy. Okay, so now I have my yarn, and I'm going to sew. See how we can see our V-stitches here? I'm going to start with the back loop on this side, and then the front loop on this side. I'm not grabbing both, I'm just grabbing the back loop on this first panel and the front loop on the second panel. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Grab this one and this one, these two, and sew them together. Do the same thing. Grab the closest two together and leave these other ones. I do that again. So I'm just grabbing this back loop and the front loop on this side, and then I'm doing that all the way down. I'm just doing that all the way down until I get to the end. The ones that are closest to each other, and sewing them together. Okay, so I've reached the final stitch, and I'm just going to go back and forth a couple times to make sure it's nice and secure. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and weave in these ends so I don't have to worry about them later. And I flipped it over, and this is what this seam looks like on the other side. It's a little less bulky if you decide to do, you can do both loops if you like to, but I just decided to do those two because it made it a little less bulky in the shoulder area. But I'm gonna go ahead and repeat this on the other side. The same thing that I did on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat it on the other side. Okay, we have both shoulders seamed, and now we have the neck hole here, and I'm going to actually work on the neck hole once I have the sleeves sewn on. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to sew on the sleeves now. We have our first panel of our sleeve here that we're going to put on our sweater, and you want to make sure that it's going the right way, the right direction, like the rows are going in the right direction and you're putting it on in the right direction, because I've made a sweater once and accidentally sewed a whole entire sleeve on in the wrong direction. So make sure that you double, triple check yourself that you're putting the sleeve down in the right direction. I'm going to move my setup so you guys can see better. Okay, so I folded everything over so you guys could see it better, but this is the sleeve here. And if you remember, we made a beginning chain for the sleeve, and the beginning chain is what is hugging up against the panel of the sweater, just so you can keep everything straight and remember everything. This beginning chain here is what hugs up against the panel of the sweater, just so you know that you have the sleeve going in the correct direction. Because yeah, like I said, I've sewn on a sleeve that was completely wrong, so you want to make sure that you check yourself so it's not wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in closer and show you guys how I make the sleeve attached to the body of the sweater because we want it also to be nice and even. You can grab your measuring tape if you would like. I'm just going to show you guys how I do it. I don't commonly use a measuring tape, but if you want to be perfectly accurate, go ahead and grab one. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that my panels are laying nice and flat. So everything's laying nice and flat, and so is my sleeve. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my sleeve like this. And then as we can see, we have our seam here, and this is the middle. This is the middle, and this is where we want the middle of our sleeve. So if it's folded in half like this, we want to bring our sleeve down to the halfway point here where the folded edge is, where the folded seam is, and attach and line it up right next to the shoulder seam here, because we have our shoulder seam, which is the half. So we want to make sure that our sweater sleeve is perfectly in the half of each of these two panels. And definitely if you want to grab your measuring tape, you can go ahead, but I've just found that doing this, folding it in half, it works well for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly open it up, and then I'm going to attach a bobby pin to the middle here, just so I don't lose my middle, and make sure. You can also count rows as well if you want to count how many rows are here and how many rows are here. Definitely up to you, so you can make it perfectly even. But actually, I'm gonna go grab my measuring tape just so I can show you guys how to measure and all that. So I'm gonna go grab my measuring tape. Okay, so I have my bobby pin in the middle, and I have my measuring tape. So now I'm going to measure this side. We're at about 8.5 here, honestly, like exactly 8.5 on this side of the sleeve. Then we'll go measure this side, and we're like at 8.5. So it's perfect on both sides for me. 8.5 here, 8.5 here. So now I know that my sleeve is in the middle and it's perfectly laying exactly how I want it to. So now I know, and I can comfortably go ahead and sew this sleeve onto the front and back panel of my sweater because I know it's nice and even. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, sew both of them together, and I'll zoom in and show you the process of how I'm gonna do that. So I'm just going to cut a longer strand of yarn than I did for the shoulder, since it's a lot longer. So I'm gonna grab a longer piece of yarn to sew this sleeve on, and I'm going to attach the yarn to my tapestry needle. I'm going to go ahead and go into that first stitch on the sleeve and join it over here, the other side. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew it on, not in any specific way, just sew them together, going in both stitches. And then these are side stitches on this side, these are side ones, so they're not as like easy to spot. So just go into whatever is available to you on both sides. The two for me are available on the sleeve side, but this side is a little bit different since it's just the side of the crochet piece. So just do your best and sew in any available spot. There's not really anything too particular to do with this. You just keep going back and forth, sewing it in place. Now I've reached the middle, so I'm going to remove my stitch marker. This first seam stitch in the middle is a little tricky to go into sometimes. And now I'm just going to resume as usual with doing the back and forth sewing. And after this is done, I'm going to weave in my ends over here. And then I am going to repeat the exact same process, the entire thing on the other side with the other side sleeve. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to go ahead and sew up the sides, and we'll be done with the sewing after we sew up the sides and the sleeves. And then we can go ahead and start on the neck ribbing. Okay, so here is where I am at this point. I have both of the shoulder panels sewn on, both of the sleeves sewn on, and now I'm going to take the back panel and I'm going to bring it forward like this. And there is our sweater. Let me grab this side. And there is our sweater all folded up. So now we have, obviously these sides are supposed to be sewn in. So what we're gonna do is we're going to sew those sides in right now. But first what we have to do is turn the whole piece inside out so that all the seams are facing this way. So we're gonna turn the whole thing inside out and again, fold it that exact same way. I'm gonna move it over a little bit so you guys can see more of what I'm doing. But I have the whole piece turned inside out because we're going to be sewing these two sides together and we want our seam to be on the inside, not on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn right here in this corner and we're going to sew all the way up here and then we're going to go all the way down the sleeve, just sewing it nicely together so it's all nice and perfectly shut. I cut a fairly long strand of yarn since we have a lot of ground to cover, and I'm just going to attach my tapestry needle to the yarn. Now I'm just double checking, making sure everything is laying nice and flat before I start. And yeah, I just put my tapestry needle right through here. Whoopsie, almost went too far. And I'm going to tie it like I have been doing the first one, just so it's nice and tight. And now I'm just going to go ahead and sew these two panels together. Oops. Going back and forth. Down and then up. Just sewing the panels together nice and evenly. And I'm going to do this all the way up here and then all the way down the sleeve, cut my yarn, and then I'm going to repeat this exact same process on the other side with the other side of the sweater and the other sleeve. Oops, that was the wrong way, but it's not letting me. Okay, there we go. I went the wrong way, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing that I'm doing on this side with sewing the two panels and the two sleeves together, nice and closed. And then we'll meet back up when the sweater is almost finished, and then we can do the ribbing of the neckline together. And that is gonna be very fun. I'm very excited to see it all come together. I'm super excited. So I'll see you in a few minutes when we can do the ribbing together. Okay, so now that both of the sides and the sleeves are sewn together, we're going to start on the neck ribbing. So I'm going to attach my yarn, I think right here. Seems like a nice spot. And I'm just going to tie it. And now we have our yarn attached, so I'm going to insert my hook, chain one, and in that same stitch I am going to do a single crochet because that chain one does not count as a single crochet. And then I'm going to skip this stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet, skip this stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet, skip the next stitch, go into the next one with a single crochet. So basically we're putting a single crochet, one single crochet in every other stitch. Skip this one, go into the next. Now I've reached this area, which is a little more tricky since we don't have the set stitches to go into. So just do your best and eyeball it the best that you can. So I'm just kind of looking and seeing what would look best, just since there's not any set stitches to go into. Now I've reached my first single crochet of the row, and I'm going to slip stitch into it a little tight. I'm going to slip stitch into it, and now that I slip stitched into that first single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have my chain of 5 here, and I'm going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And in the rest of the stitches of this little row here. And we should have 4 at the end. And then in that last stitch, we have our last single crochet, and we have 4 little single crochets here. And now we are going to slip stitch into this next stitch here. Then we're going to chain 1, turn our work of our ribbing, and now we're going to work in the back loops only here. See, as we have our 2 loops, we're going to work our 4 single crochets in the back loops only. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to put our last single crochet through both loops of the last stitch. Okay, so there's what we have so far. Now we're going to chain 1, turn our work again. Now we have our 4 stitches. We are going to do our single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to go ahead again. Now that we've made it back down, we're going to slip stitch into that next single crochet on the neck. Then we're going to chain 1 again, turn our work, and then we're going to repeat that by doing 1 single crochet in the back loops only of our little neck ribbing here. And then remember, through both on the last stitch, chain 1, turn your work, go ahead and repeat the process of doing 1 single crochet in the back loops only all the way down the row to make it back to the neckline. So you have 4 single crochets. We made it back down, and now we're going to again slip stitch into that next single crochet, chain up 1, turn our work, and we're going to keep on repeating this until we reach all the way around the neck, with putting 1 single crochet in the back loops only, and then remember, through both of that last stitch there, chain 1, turn your work, go into that back loop, all the way back down the sweater with 1 single crochet in the back loops only, all the way back down, and then slip stitch into the next single crochet on the neck. And then this process just completely repeats itself all the way around, so you can go ahead and repeat this process all the way around the sweater, and I'll see you at the end when we have our entire ribbing around the neck completed. Okay, so now I'm on my final ribbing row here. Now I'm going to put my last single crochet in the last stitch, then I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now we want to just slip stitch them together So I'm going to find the front loop here, and then attach it to the other side and slip stitch it together. And again, find the front loop here, find the chain on the other side, slip stitch it together, front loop on this side, then stitch on the other side, slip stitch it together, and then the last stitch, and then we're just going to go ahead and randomly slip stitch just to kind of weave in this end. So I'm going to go in a couple of stitches here, just to kind of secure this nicely in place. And then I'm going to chain one and cut my yarn. And then I'm going to weave this end into my project. I have all the ends weaved in, and now the project is complete and I can show you the finished result. Millie and I are just blocking stars because you can see this curled look is not what we want. So we're just blocking them on the blocking mats right now. She's dunking them in water and I am pinning them to the board. So yeah, we want them to be nice and flat. So yeah, we're just wetting them a bit and then...
And now we're doing a rose.
Yes. Yes, we are putting them in rows. Okay, so we're just pinning these and then we're gonna let these sit for overnight and then into the next day. So they can dry nice and flat. Millie's having fun now playing with the water. Whoa! Now she splashed me. Here are all 15 stars, and as you can see, I'm very impatient and I could not wait long enough because they're still a little bit curly, but I'm impatient and I wanted to get it made, so we're just gonna ignore that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna chain a certain amount. You can chain however many you want, but I'm gonna chain 30 chains, and then what we're going to do is we're going to attach each star as we go along with the chain. I'll explain that in just a second. It'll make more sense. So just make a slip knot, insert your hook, and now I'm going to chain 30, and I don't want my chains to be very baggy. I want them to be fairly, not tight, but not loose. So kind of let the hook help you out with sizing, you know, just kind of keep in the space there just so it looks nice and uniform and not too loose. So I'm gonna chain 30, 3, 4, 18, 19, 20, 30. So now I have my chain of 30, and I'm gonna grab my first star. So I have my star facing this way, and I'm just going to hold my yarn like I normally would, and I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the star, like that, and then I'm going to join it in. It's a little awkward, with a chain, kind of like a slip stitch actually, so technically a slip stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain another 30. Okay, so I chained another 30, and now I'm going to face my star the same way. You're going to want to make sure that you face the stars the same way each time, so they're all facing the same way when you hang up your garland. So again, insert your hook into the top, and then just slip stitch it in to your working chain, and then go ahead and chain 30 again. So I have another 30 chained, and then remember, grab it from the same side, attach it from the same side so all of them are facing the same way, and then stick your hook into the top, slip stitch it into your working chain, and then go ahead and chain 30 or however many that you want to chain again. And then you're going to continue this until all of your stars are gone, and then you're going to end with a chain of 30 or however many chains. So I'm going to continue this until all my stars are gone, just chain 30, slip stitch in my star, chain 30, slip stitch in the star, and then end with a chain of 30. So I will see you once we're both finished with that. Okay, so I reached my final chains, and now I'm going to cut my yarn, pull it out, tighten it a bit so it's nice and tight at the end, and then I can go ahead and cut it fairly close, and then I'm going to go find the other end, do the same thing, make sure it's nice and tight, cut it fairly close. Then as you can see, I would definitely wait longer to block them because mine are nice and curly, but I'm sure you can see what I mean with the chains, with making them not too loose, just so it looks like braided. I think it looks nice and clean, but this took me not very long at all to make, and it is so cute, and I cannot wait to hang it up. Oh my gosh, they're so curly. Oh goodness, I should have waited, bless my heart, but that's okay. I am impatient to a fault. It's still gonna be cute. Oh gosh, they're getting worse. Okay. Well, I might have to block them again because they are pretty curly, but the goal is for them to look like stars, not like octopus friends, but that's okay. You'll live and learn with being patient. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang this up, but this is all you have to do. Super easy, just slip stitch the stars onto the garland, and yeah, that's all you got to do with it. And it's super cute, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my, I think hang it up on my egg chair or maybe in front of my window or something. There are many things you could do, hang it in front of your door, whatever you want. So I'm gonna figure out a place for it here in my studio real fast, and then I'll show you what it looks like all hung up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorials. Bye!